Hi, I'm Rick Kimple. I'm the engineering manager at Aegeon Coating Services in Conroe. In 2019, in January, we were doing an electrical refurbish work in our line plant. We had a subcontractor that was doing the work, and we had had a job hazard analysis the day prior, had decided that it was going to be too risky to do the work on live wires and that we were going to shut off the electricity to the plant on, I believe, a Friday. And rather than waiting for that energy turnoff, the contractor decided to go ahead and continue working on the live panel, thinking that the risk was negligible. Unfortunately, what happened was during the course of them, they were tracing wires, and during the course of them tracing wires, they moved a live conductor, and it came in contact with the grounded panel, and that caused what's called an arc flash. An arc flash is basically when a copper conductor turns into a molten metal and a vapor very rapidly. It's basically an explosion of copper that is a very high temperature, and it can burn flesh, start fires, and it did both of those things. Neither one of the contractors were wearing appropriate PPE for working on a live panel. They did not have on a blast hood or any sort of flame retardant clothing. And what this led to was severe burns on the face and hands of one of the employees. It was bad enough where basically it looked like his face had melted off and his hands were all burnt and charred. It was very, very disturbing, and he was in a lot of pain. He had to be taken to the hospital and have skin grafts. It was my understanding that he still has scars and suffers from those injuries. So an arc flash event only takes milliseconds. And unfortunately, it didn't stop with the arc flash event. There was some dust in the area, some combustible dust, and that was one of the hazards that we were aware of, and one of the reasons why we didn't want to work on a live panel. That combustible dust, in fact, caught fire as well and led to a secondary fire after the arc flash. This fire spread rapidly through the plant, and it ended up consuming much of the south end of the plant. When the firefighters arrived, they described the smoke was on fire. And I've never seen smoke that was on fire, but that seems really scary to me that even the smoke was on fire. And so it was definitely a severe fire event that was all caused by this arc flash. So it's important to remember, if you're going to be doing any work on a live electrical panel, to make sure there are no combustible sources nearby, that you have the proper PPE and the proper training. Even if you have the proper PPE, an arc flash event can still be very harmful to you due to the pressure waves. So if you have a suit that protects you from the fire, it may not protect you from the concussive pressure wave. Some of these real bad arc flashes can turn your insides to jelly. Fortunately, that didn't happen to these two guys, but that caught us by surprise was when the ambulance arrived. They couldn't actually pick up the contractor. The firefighters would not let the ambulance in the facility until after the fire was under control. So it actually delayed his treatment for a few minutes while we had to get him out to the ambulance. So the whole thing was pretty scary.
Yes, it does.
You bring up a good point. So when they arrived, we actually had to do 360 around the building to verify there weren't any other sources of energy that were going into the building. So we had the electrical turned off when the firefighters arrived. But additionally to that, there was a spare air compressor that was being used, and it was actually feeding the fire with fresh air right at the point of where the combustible dust was also. So luckily they spotted that, and I showed them how to turn it off, and we got that extra energy source taken care of. But if there ever is an incident like this, you have to think of all of your energy sources, not just electrical. You need to cut off all the energy source to the building. So gas, if you've got gas lines going in, but also compressed air as an energy source.
Hi, I'm Wendy Stapleton, Drug and Alcohol Manager for Aegeon. We just heard several stories about incidents that occur while working with electricity. I'm sure many of you, like me, do not work on anything that requires us to be exposed to live electrical components. You have probably wondered why you were assigned this course. I want you to think about each of the stories Rick just told. Think of how many people were involved even though they were not performing the work. Serious incidents like this can put us all in danger. Understanding the basics of what Chuck and Ryan told you may help in preventing you from being exposed to electrical hazard. Sometimes the incidents may occur at home. Let's listen to an in situ form employee tell his story about what happened to him at home.
From work, I was working at a factory 8 hours a day, came home from work, and my power was off. Luckily, it shut the whole breaker down instead of starting a fire, but I had to in turn turn my power off, get the power company to come out, shut the power off at the breaker or on the line, and replace my whole house electrical box. Could have been really bad, but luckily nothing happened. It was just place the panel box, good to go. Safety is really important to me because that day I could have not only lost my house and everything in it, could have lost my pet, and my son was actually there at the time with his baby.
As you heard Mr. Miller say in his story, sometimes safe electrical practices also save our homes. No one was hurt in his story, but Mr. Miller realizes that a circuit breaker saved his home, his possessions, and possible injuries to his family. We hope we made you understand the importance of lockout, tagout, and electrical safe work practices. Aegon stresses this by stating in the life-saving rule for electrical and lockout, tagout, no worker shall deliberately violate Aegon's lockout, tagout policy. We want all of you to be safe and keep looking for the hazards.